number 18, right fielder, Darryl Strawberry.
He was the leading man in a Hollywood movie.
The spotlight is good. If you're afraid to play under pressure, don't play in New York.
To be 6'6" tall, to have the last name Strawberry, all of that brings a lot of attention.
When you 18 years old and you're getting talked with the savior, I don't think any number one pick could have fit that bill better than Darryl Strawberry.
Oh, baby, that one is way out of here.
You come in, Shay, you mess with us, we're going to take care of business. We're talking about with these knuckles here, too.
Every night, there was 40-some-odd thousand people there. I hope the stadium holds up.
High drive into deep right field. Evans back at the wall. Gone.
I hit the home run, so I goes, okay, Davey, there you go. Is this what you want?
He didn't want to hit me. He just kind of, and I knew it was coming.
That ball may have hit the lights up there. It may have hit the top of the stadium.
He was like, it hit way up there. I was like, there's no way that ball hit up there.
I know how hard he worked for it and how much this means to him. I think now he has closure.
Someone's going to come to a game with their son or daughter. Why is 18 up there? Well, let me tell you.
Strawberry on SNY is presented by your Tri-State Cadillac dealers.
I think I fell in love with game baseball when I was like 12, 13. I used to watch, the Dodgers because I grew up in LA. That one-on-one challenge is pretty incredible. When you got a bat in your hand and the guy's up on the mound, he's staring you down, looking at you like, oh, I'm gonna blow this by you. And I'm like, really?
I was on one side of the city, he was on the other side of the city, and our teams met in the championship. The first time I saw him, he was like a big action figure. You didn't see kids that young, that tall, that coordinated, that talented, so you knew that there was something special brewing.
We had so many players that came from that area. Eddie Murray and I played together in high school, and then you had Eric Davis, you had Darryl. For all of us, I think it wasn't just about us, it was about our families as well, because if we failed, then our families fail.
Playing out in Compton was tremendous competition. We all grew up together. Chris Brown, Eric Davis, Earl Brown was our coach. He coached so many guys before us. Eddie Murray, Ozzie Smith, Chili Davis. And he used to get mad at us and used to tell us, oh, well, y'all ain't gonna be as good as Eddie and Ozzie. And we told him we're gonna be better.
The thing that got Straw's attention was they played in the championship game and he had a home run at Dodger Stadium. And it wasn't a cheap one. He was a left-hand quarterback who could run. He was a power forward who could run, jump, shoot, and dunk, and he was a baseball player who could pitch, play center field, and hit the ball out of the ballpark and steal bases. You don't really get more talented than that.
He could throw 100 miles an hour if you asked him to do it. He could hit the ball out of sight. But it was his speed, at 6'6", which was just remarkable. And Darryl's the only guy I know that could have played professional basketball, professional football, professional baseball, maybe not hockey.
6'6", those long arms. And he's the strongest man I've ever shook hands with. His hands were like iron. In the outfield, his arm, his speed, his power, you said, wow, this is a five-tool player.
George Genevieve told me that he was a scout for the San Francisco Giants, and he says, you're a 5'2" player. It's like you're one of those can't-miss players. They were like saying, he looks just like Ted Williams. He looks like Willie McCovey.
When you've got an article written about you in high school that calls you the Black Ted Williams, there was something about the totality of Darryl's athleticism and what he could be as a complete player that made you drool.
The Mets signed Darryl Strawberry, the top pick of the amateur free agent draft. Comparing him to a young Ted Williams, many top scouts rated the 6'6" Strawberry baseball's best prospect in 30 years.
I knew they had some pretty good scouts out in California. They would come to all my games my senior year and talking to me a lot. And saying, well, you know, we really think you could be a great pick for us and a great player for the franchise and turn this franchise around. I guess I didn't pay attention until after I was drafted by him. I started looking at the Mets and looking at the roster, looking at the players, and seeing who they had, and I didn't see a whole lot.
We're a bad club. You know, we're a last place club. There was a headline in the Post or the Daily News, I forget which, it said, "Darryl, save us." And I remember thinking, how is a 23-year-old right fielder going to turn this organization around single-handedly?
He was called up to the AAA Tidewater Tides, and we were playing in Rochester in the playoffs. The fence in Rochester was 30 to 40 feet high in left center. And the first time he was up, he hit a ball that went over the fence in left center as a left-handed hitter. Before he swung the bat, we were like, well, let's see what he can do. And once he'd hit that ball, we all looked at each other and we knew that, you know, this player was a little different than all of us.
We all heard about him, even though he was in the minor leagues. I was with the Pirates at the time. And when I got a chance to see him, I saw a lot of raw talent. Now was he going to really mature to that superstar level, which you don't know at the time.
I always wondered, where the heck is New York at? You get lost. You don't know exactly how to get around. And it's very challenging to be able to get around. I was like, wow, man, how am I going to make it here?
Well hit to left center field. Out of here. Darryl Strawberry's first major league home run.
When you get caught up and you go into the majors and you got to be ready. I think the greatest thing that happened was my mother was in the stands when I got caught up. And when I got there and came off a BP, there she was. And she gave me the biggest hug, you know. I was just like so happy. But also at the same time, I was so nervous.
When he was brought up in May of '83, you know, that changed the entire Mets organization because before then, you know, they're one of the worst teams in the game. And imagine having to place so much responsibility on such a young kid that you're going to change this entire organization. And he did.
Here comes a runner from third. The throw to the plate, not in time. A great play by Darryl Strawberry.
Here's Strawberry above the drive. Way back. Another one. Holy cow. His third home run of the day.
Curveball, and it is hit deep to right field. Is it fair or foul? It's a home run. It's out of here. A two-run shot, and Darryl Strawberry has put the Mets out in front 7-5.
His first time out. Forget it. Goodbye. High off the scoreboard in right center field. A tremendous home run by Darryl Strawberry. And it's out to right field. Darryl Strawberry a long way to go, and he makes a backhand catch. Darryl Strawberry.
And Darryl, with those long, beautiful strides, gets to it easily.
I remember one of the first weekends we had series at home with Darryl and the club. They had Strawberry Sunday. First 15,000 people get a Strawberry Sunday. That shows you just how much the focus was on him. He was trying to feel his way the first month or so, but then we got Keith, and then Darryl caught fire and wound up hitting, I think, 26 home runs and winning Rookie of the Year.
Tremendous raw power, such a great amount of God-given talent. That's just unbelievable. So if he maintains his attitude, wants to improve and wants to do well, the sky's the limit.
I imparted a lot on hitting with him, and not anything mechanical, just philosophy, have a plan going up. I knew the pitchers. You know, we're all young and we come up, we don't know. And I saw Darryl was having trouble against left-handers, and I did early in my career. I got him to step a little closer to the plate.
I've learned a lot from Hernandez on staying on the baseball and hitting the ball, and the ball has a tendency of not just dying. All I used to think about was hitting the ball hard. I think a lot of people think about hitting home runs, and I tell people, when I look back at my home runs and see the highlights, all I see myself doing is hitting the ball hard. When the ball's pitched away, I just myself hitting the ball hard, and it just takes off.
Darryl was the guy that other teams watched take batting practice. Opposing teams would come out early just to watch Darryl take batting practice, just to watch the bat speed and the velocity and the extra velocity that he had and how far he could hit a ball.
The most vivid memory of Straw is the swing. I'll never get over the swing. It was the most powerful swing I've ever seen. You got to do some hard searching to find somebody to compare him to, period.
Darryl had such a majestic swing. Watching him reminded you of watching Ted Williams and later on Ken Griffey Jr., that incredible left-handed whip swing.
I think it was like a snake uncoiling, you know, he was the first guy that kind of had that big high leg kick. His timing and everything was very unique in that being able to get the timing right and then getting the bat to the ball, and boy, could it go.
There was something about Darryl, and I think it's the way he looks, the way he played, the long, looping, effortless swing, and the name Strawberry. I mean, no one has that name.
Strawberry, and he rips it to right field. Going back, it is gone, goodbye. Darryl Strawberry.
This ball is a tracer. I mean, a rocket. Boom.
That looked like a jet taking off.
Oh, man, that ball was smoke. Standing O for Darryl.
When I came to spring training in '84, I just took to the whole group. I think the whole group kind of came together that spring. I think Davey had a lot to do with that, too.
I think Davey had just a great personality for what the big leagues was all about, because he played in the big leagues. And a lot of times, if you haven't played in the big leagues, you have kind of all these different rules and regulations, and he didn't. We got Carter, and we had Hernandez, and we had Ray Knight. So we had three solid veteran players. We were learning how to win, and we were learning how to gel together.
He was known everywhere we went. If we went with 10 Mets, and this includes Keith Hernandez or Gary Carter or any of those players, it was Darryl Strawberry. We walked into the restaurant, it was like, hey, Darryl. People knew him. It didn't matter if we were in St. Louis, Cincinnati, or New York.
You know, anybody that's that famous that quickly in New York, you're going to get bombarded with good things and bad. In '84, when Dwight made the club, that gave him, a kindred soul, a young African-American player under a media microscope on a daily basis. So those two guys had a lot of common.
He was like a big brother when I first met him, especially once I made the team. And it was amazing because I was a real shy kid, real quiet. He told me, he said, if you're going to be a professional ball player, you got to walk around with your head up. We would ride to the games together, ride home together. Some days I drive, some days he drive. And he said, man, you got a lot of talent. He said, the media's going to be looking for different things from us. We're two black athletes, so they're expecting these things from us. You got to be willing to accept the challenge. The more we started, getting to know each other, spending more time on the road, going out to eat, hang out, then the friendship came in, then the brotherhood came in, and we became very, very close.
We had a lot of compassion for each other, and we embraced each other. If you're on a team and you have jealousy and envy against another guy, it's going to be hard to win. And we didn't have that. People say we were cocky, but we weren't cocky. We were confident.
We were a tight group, a team. We got along great. And here I am. I got this Cy Young on my left and Neo Willie McCovey on my right. I'm feeling pretty good.
If you went into New York and they came to you for a 4-game series, you could easily come out of there 0 for 18 or 0 for 20 with Doc and all those guys, and it was just kind of unfair.
It was always a challenge playing the Mets, and they were well-rounded. We liked the competition, and we knew that if we were going to win and win our division, we had to go through the Mets.
We had that swagger, It's like, you come and Shay, you mess with us, we don't take care of business. We're talking about with these knuckles here, too. Most teams were trying to, push our button, and when you pushed our button, that was it. You were going to get a taste of it. And a lot of teams realize that, too. They start to finally realize we don't want to mess with these guys because these guys are really crazy.
You wanted him with you if there was trouble. If there was a beanball war, Darryl was the guy that was the enforcer. He was always there, right to the front of the line. I've been in bars with him back in the 80s. He was that way then, protecting his teammates. So you say what you want about Darryl. He's always been the guy you want in the foxhole with you when the stuff goes down.
We loved it. We loved getting in physical fights. It was just part of our makeup of who we were. A lot of other teams look at us and started to have fear inside of them because they realized that we weren't going to just beat them, like I said, playing, but we were going to beat them also if we had to beat them.
They wanted to impose a bully type of mindset on people. If you hit our guys, we didn't have a problem. We had guys do 99, 100 miles an hour. We didn't have a problem with that. They were just better than everybody. And it was easy for them to walk that walk and talk that talk and stuff like that. But playing them brought the best out of everybody.
Live from Busch Stadium in St. Louis, Missouri, it's Mets Baseball 85 as tonight the Mets take on the St. Louis Cardinals.
The Mets had won 90 games the year before, and they were in a great battle with the Cardinals in 85, and they had a huge series in St. Louis the first few days of October. First game of the series, they basically had to win all three, and it was a taut battle between Ron Darling and John Tudor.
We were 3 games down, going into a 3-game series. I think we had 3 more with the Expos after that. And we had to win all 3. Busch Stadium, that Busch Stadium was a huge stadium. Hard to hit the ball out of.
We knew that it was a big series, but we never shied away from that. We knew what our job was, and we knew that we were a pretty good team as well. We knew that if we played our game and played it the way that we were capable of playing, then we had a good chance of winning.
You know, it was baseball at its best at the time. You know, the Mets were winning 100 games. We were winning 100 games. We both had, you know, good managers, good talent. It was a battle, and that's why you play the game. I mean, you don't play the game to play the last place team and say you beat up on them. You know, you want to beat the best.
You knew that Darryl was going to come up with the game on the line, and you knew he was going to be facing a left-hander. It's just the way it was. I mean, that's the way managers managed, and they had the luxury of managing like that because their starters used to go 6, 7, 8 innings, so they had a fresh bullpen late in the game every day.
Being left-handed, that was supposed to be my out people. Obviously, when you get ahead, being a lefty, he thinks you're going to throw that hard breaking ball and try and get him to chase. And I got ahead, but I didn't get the breaking ball down. I hung it.
They would bully me when I came up to the plate. At least y'all know I'm in the ballpark, and it's a nothing ball game here. And I got a hanging breaking ball, and it was like, good night, lights out.
2 out and nobody on. Oh, baby, that one is way out of here. The Mets lead it 1-0 in the 11th inning as Darryl Strawberry crushes one.
That's one of the hardest balls I've ever hit because that ball was on a line, and it was going this way. And it was going up, and it hit that clock, and it broke that clock.
It was electric, that stadium. It was 50-something thousand people that were, it was alive. And when he hit it and it hit the clock, you could hear a pin drop in that stadium. Not because, oh my God, they went ahead. It was like, did he just hit that off the scoreboard?
He hit this ball so hard, we cringed. It was like somebody shooting off a howitzer. And I think my memory is the right fielder he just kind of gave it a glance. I mean, it was so far gone. And to hit a ball where he did was just unfathomable, you know, for us. We just, you know, off the clock, for Christ's sakes.
No home runs go in that area. If you hit one over the wall, that was huge. Down the line, you might have a shot. But to right center, left center, and center field, that was just a tremendous home run. And for him to hit the clock in right center, I don't know, 40 rows deep from right center was something that just an ordinary human did not do.
I never saw anybody do that, and to my knowledge, nobody had ever done that. Talking with the Cardinal announcers at the time, we asked about that after the game. Have you ever seen anybody do that? No. Ball would still be flying if the scoreboard wasn't there. I swear. I mean, it was a monster shot that was still on the way up.
After he hit it, I went and asked Ken Daly. I said, how did you hold that ball? Because that ball went a long way. It was probably the longest one that I had a chance to see hit in Old Busch Stadium.
Infielders were big at that. You know, hey, how'd you hold that ball? You know, they were big at that. And I said, you just shut up and get back there and don't kick something, you know. Your job's to catch it.
We needed that game. It was one of those, you know, if we lose the game, it's over kind of season. And we needed to win that game. And as soon as Darryl hit it, we knew we had won. It was only 1-0. But we had the audacity, hubris to think that was over. So we got one game, and we got Dwight the next day.
They felt like they were ready to win in 85. You had to, you know,
Gooden's phenomenal Cy Young season. If they had got to the postseason, it would have been a really tough out because their pitching was so good. They could have won a championship that year. The Cardinals were up to the task, though. They won the game they had to win.
When both teams won 100 games, it's pretty frustrating to be that second-place team because you know that you got a good club, and maybe in a 5-game series or 7-game series, you might have the better pitching or whatever, but you know, that's why you played 162.
That last game in St. Louis, we were heartbroken. Our whole locker room was just quiet because we had a great season, and we came up short, and it was against the Cardinals. We came up short 2 years in a row. Cubs in '84, Cardinals in '85. So we had something to prove, not to anybody else. I think we had something to prove to ourselves. And we got to spring training. In our first meeting in spring training, Davey said, I'm not going to say a lot, but he said, we're going to win it all. We just kind of looked around at each other and thought to ourselves, you know what? He's right. Met fans are hungry. Their desire for winning and their appetite is big because it hasn't happened a lot. As a player, it's really all about them. It's really about embracing your home fans and showing them that you can win.
Every night, there was 40-some-odd thousand people there. It became like a cult, and they were so emotionally into the game. And I can remember saying, I hope the stadium holds up. You can feel the vibrations in that stadium.
We didn't want to experience another season like we did before. That was tough for us to lose to the Cardinals and the Cubs. And we just knew that we had to get to the next level. They were really comfortable about us winning because they knew we were good. They knew we were going to be in it all the time. They just was hoping that we can get to the finish line.
Ground ball to the right side of the infield. Backman has it to Hernandez. It's win. It's over.
This is the most excitement in my life. I'm really enjoying it, and you deserve some champagne.
You immediately feel the bite of the home crowd. Perhaps the most vocal gathering in all of baseball. So much has been made of the home crowd at Shea Stadium.
Darryl, in that playoff, got big, clutch home runs, and he hit behind me a lot, and he drove me in a lot.
The home run I think about most is the one that he hit off of Bob Knepper, which tied Game 3 of the National League Championship Series in 1986. Darryl, a left-handed hitter who would occasionally struggle against lefties, hit that home run against a tough left-hander, Bob Knepper. And I could still see the video of Keith, who was the base runner at second base, just imploring Darryl to keep that shoulder in.
The thing about Darryl, he accepted advice from people that he knew he should accept it from. You know, when Keith Hernandez, as a left-handed hitter, is telling you what to look for off for certain pitchers, you listen.
Keith was just on first. He was on first telling me to keep my shoulder in. You know, just keep your shoulder in, keep your shoulder in. And he was right. All I had to do was just keep my shoulder in.
Strawberry is up facing Knepper. It is now a 4-1 ball game. Strawberry hits it high in the air to right. Pass to the wall. It's gone. The score is tied.
They were up 4-1. That ties it up. It's a lot of drama, you know, in playing in that series against the Astros, and you know, up and down and roller coaster ride, and you know, big games, big situations, and you know, great pitching, you know, from each team, and who's going to win, you know, who's going to make the mistake.
Nolan Ryan was always the type of pitcher who just came and blew you away. He's still doing that, but he does have that different fastball that goes away from left-handed batters.
Nolan was pitching the gym that day. He had a 1-0 shutout. It was him and Doc pitching the gym. Nolan threw me a ball, 95, inner half. I used my hands, and I got the bat head out, and it stayed fair.
Ball is hit deep to right. Home run.
The home run he hit against Nolan Ryan, I'll never forget, because he's probably the only player that ever played for the Mets that could hit a home run in such a way. This was truly one of those balls where he hit it over the first baseman's head, and you knew that it wasn't hit high enough to be a home run, but it was. And those superhuman kind of feats, Darryl could do regularly.
Nolan Ryan, if we don't hit that home run, we lose 1-0. And then it's assured that we're going to go up against Mike Scott in Game 7. That was a big home run, tied that game. 2 clutch home runs, period, end of story. And it feeds back into how good a clutch hitter Darryl was.
Everybody says it's a clutch player, but you're the same player. It's like you don't change who you are inside when you get in big games. Because if you start thinking about it, you're never gonna do it. Are you gonna get beat sometimes? Yeah, but you don't let that defeat you. Here's Nolan, here's Nepper. You know, I was gonna come up again. I came up in a situation, and that was my time.
He wanted to be in the drama. He wanted to be the drama. He loved the drama because he was the leading man in a Hollywood movie.
Number 18, right fielder, Darryl Strawberry.
You were coming off that epic championship series with the Astros, and that it felt like, you know, there could be a little bit of a hangover from that series because once they got through the Astros, maybe they thought it was, you know, fait accompli, they were going to win the World Series. And then they, you know, the offense gets shut down those first couple of games, and you're coming back down 3-2. And that's a huge task to come back, even at home, to win 2 games against the way the Red Sox are playing.
Rick Aguilera is the new pitcher, and he will pitch in Darryl Strawberry's spot.
Being taken out of the World Series, everyone in the world would have a beef with that because, you know, part of the reward for playing the whole season is that when you win, you're on the field to be there and celebrate with your teammates. So I can certainly see him getting angry about that.
My reaction was I could have killed him. You played your heart out that whole season, no matter what it was like. You would want to be on the field if it's the end. If you're a player and you come to that place and you say, well, you okay with that, then something's wrong with you.
It had been such a roller coaster ride in the playoffs all along. I mean, we're up and down, and the teams, you know, these extra inning ball games. I mean, all kinds of great baseball had gone on through all of this.
And that's hit to dead center with Henderson going to run it down. And the Mets are down to their last out.
They like, congratulations to the Boston Red Sox, you know, and they put it up on the scoreboard and everything, and everybody was sitting in the dugout, and all of a sudden, you know, here come the boys.
Little roller up along first, behind the bag. It gets through Buckner. Here comes Knight, and the Mets win it.
Billy Buckner was the same way. They said, well, why did they take him out? You know, guy played. You played your whole life, you know, to experience this. You know, either way, I mean, it's either you're going to feel the joy or you're going to feel the pain. We were just happy that we had another chance, you know, and I think a lot of times people don't know we had another chance. We had a Game 7 coming, and we had to come back and win that one too.
You come out of Game 6 and it's like you're almost completely drained, and you're wondering what the hell else could possibly happen in this season with this ball club. And then they get behind, and it's like, oh God, no, all this for naught? Gone through all this and they're going to lose a Game 7?
After Game 6, you felt like the Mets automatically would win, but that was not the case. And the Red Sox were there, and honestly were in a position to maybe shock us again in Game 7. But once Darryl hit that home run, it was like the coronation. It's like, okay, this is over. You know, we're going to win the World Series.
High drive into deep right field. Evans back at the wall. Gone.
We didn't know until afterwards, the little conversation that Ray Knight had with him, because we knew that Darryl had been ticked off that he was double switched out of the game 2 nights before. And understandably, I mean, think back now, switching Darryl out of this game when you need to win this game to stay alive. We know that Darryl was stung by that, but we didn't know all of what went into that slow home run trot and the subsequent conversation.
Everybody always asks me what's the question that Ray Knight was talking to me about. Well, the big question was, he was like, go, make sure you go over there and shake Davey's hand. Me and Davey was going at it, you know, from that Game 6. So I hit the home run, so I goes, okay, Davey, there you go. Is this what you want? But that's what great leadership is about. We needed to like push that to the back burner and move on and go on from there and move forward.
To trot around the bases, and I don't know, we should put a clock on it in 25 seconds or so. Really, I think for himself, for the team, and for the fans, knew that, oh my goodness, this is going to happen.
What you're looking for as a baseball fan, the fairy tale home run, and there it is. And who is it but Darryl Strawberry? This is when you needed it the most in the game that's going to end the whole thing. And Darryl Strawberry comes through and gets it, just like you knew he would.
He struck him out! Struck him out! The Mets have won the World Series! The dream has come true. The Mets have won the World Series, coming from behind to win the 7th ball game.
Ladies and gentlemen, the 1986 World Champion,
There's a long drive, center field, that ball is way back, caught. Eric Davis takes his friend's home run back into the ballpark. Some friend.
I always tell him about it, you know, you took my 40th, home run. And I never got a chance to hit 40 because of you. He said, well, he said, you know better, you should have hit it the other way.
He talks about it more than I talk about it, because I think he ended up with like 39 that year. If that same situation would have happened to him, he'd have went and got it. Friendship was not going to interfere with me trying to win the game.
One of those stories of guys that grew up together and had competition together, and now we're playing against each other, and now he takes my home run.
The Mets open up baseball 88 here in Montreal, Canada.
Strawberry hit .284 last year with 39 home runs, 104 RBIs with 36 stolen bases.
Speaking of home runs, there's a long drive. That ball is out of here. Home run, Darryl Strawberry.
That ball may have hit the lights up there. It may have hit the top of the stadium. I think it did.
That is a first. That is the first ball that has hit in fair territory, and that is a home run that's never before been done, and it's done here on opening day of 1988.
He did the things that can't happen, which to me is what makes sports exciting. If everything that happens is what's expected, then nobody's going to go to watch anything. So what you're going for is to see the thing that you don't expect, and it happens. And that's what Straw continually did. So he gets to Montreal with the dome, goes in there to play. Nobody's going to hit that roof. It's too high. And so he hits the roof. And so, we're laughing at the same time. We're going, oh, my Lord, he hit the roof.
We couldn't find the ball. Everybody was like, where did it go? What happened to it? And then when you finally figured out that it went off the roof, it was just stunning. I mean, nobody had seen that kind of power before. And, it was right down the line. He pulled it. It went straight up. I think it hit off the ring, the O-ring, or close to the roof. And yeah, we were all just stunned, trying to figure out where it went, how far that is, and just in awe of his talent.
The umpire just kept looking up there. And I'm looking at him. The ball comes back into play. He was like, it hit way up there. I was like, there's no way that ball hit up there. And I didn't know what to do. Stay on second? Was it going to be a double? Or was it a home run? And he just kept looking up there, and he just like, I guess he just finally came to the conclusion, it's a home run.
Bob Murphy's looking at me in the radio booth when we're doing a game, and he said, Gary, where did that go? And I said, Murph, I think it went out. I said I watched it, and it never came down. Once again, can't do that, and Straw did.
You're looking out to where you think the ball's going to go, and then you realize that you are not even close to where the ball is. And then by the time you looked up, it was like, well, that hit off the ceiling. And I remember the next time we came to Montreal, I don't know if it was that year or the next year, they had this Sharpie scratched line in the ceiling of the stadium to signify if the next person hit one off the roof, they would have a better idea.
Well, that opening day home run in Montreal, I think, got everybody's attention. Nobody thought that anybody else could ever hit the ball that high at Olympic Stadium, and it really jump-started what was a great year for Darryl.
Swung on deep to right field. Dawson to the wall. Home run, Darryl Strawberry.
Strawberry's two-run home run in the 10th inning.
I thought he deserved to be MVP for what he meant to the team. You know, if you judge an MVP, which I always have, is what was the meaning for the team, not just the round numbers, statistics, but how much did he matter to the team? What would the team have been without him?
Part of it, too, I think he was a little bit of a victim of the Mets' own success. They had already won the championship. They had a lot of stars on that team. But I think that's unfair to Darryl. If you put up those numbers today, you stack up Gibson versus Strawberry, it'd be no contest.
We had never had a player, you know, that was even that close, you know, to winning the league MVP. And I think they just, you know, completely robbed it from our entire organization. A lot of media didn't like us, you know, from, you know, who we were and what we were all about and stuff like that. So we had to deal with that. I had to deal with writers with that, you know. It's like they're a bunch of cocky guys, you know. They can keep it.
His evolution as a hitter was exponential. When he first came up, he was a guy that had a big swing that was really just looking to hit home runs. Once he got into the major part of his career, he became a better hitter against lefties. He became a better hitter using the entire field. He knew when to take his walks, which is a really important part of the game, and let the next guy do it. He just became a smarter hitter.
Darryl tried to fashion himself as more of an all-around hitter than he'd been early in his career, because he did have the rap that he didn't hit left-handers well. But every once in a while, whether it was the home run against Ken Daly in St. Louis, off the clock, tough left-hander, Bob Knepper in the playoffs, game 3 in '86, tough left-hander. You did get to see something of a maturation of Darryl versus left-handed pitching as opposed to what he was earlier in his career.
I started realizing that I need to start working and learning to hit the ball to all fields. That's how I learned how to hit left-handed so good. Because of Hernandez, you know, if it had not been for him, I wouldn't have never probably been able to be able to hit left-handers as well as I did. One that throws off speed, he would tell me, move up in the box. One that got a good fastball, get deeper in the box. Let the ball get deeper, catch the ball up there.
Keith was definitely a mentor to Darryl. He helped him in a lot of ways. I know Darryl has always said it. Keith made me a better hitter, especially against left-handed pitching, taught me how to hit. They were two headstrong guys, two big egos, and at some point there was going to be a clash there, and it kind of spilled out in that fight on picture day, famously, which we were all standing there going, you know, what are we going to write about today? And next thing you know, there's Keith and Darryl squaring off. I'm like, oh my God, World War III just broke out.
Darryl's in a bad place then. He got a new agent, and his agent was giving him, he was in the middle of a contract, and the agent wasn't going to get any payment until he negotiated a new contract. So Darryl was trying to renegotiate a new contract, and I just said in the paper, I remember, I think Darryl's getting bad advice, and Darryl took it the wrong way. He was under a lot of pressure.
We got into one scuffle, you know, picture day. And that was it. And then I gave him a kiss the next day. And then I hit a 3-run homer off the Dodgers straightaway center off of Tim Belcher. Just to show the fans that, you know, no big deal. You know, it's clubhouse stuff. It's baseball stuff.
He didn't want to hit me. He just kind of, and it was no fist. It was, and I knew it was coming. But that adds to all the Met lore. About our team, the 80s team. And, you know, the next day, it was like nothing happened.
It's no big deal. You know, let's move on. Let's keep it moving because we got something sitting right in front of us and we're trying to accomplish that. We laughed about it, you know. We laughed about it and it was like, we're crazy, you know. We know we're all crazy.
When Darryl was in his last year with the Mets, 1990, I thought throughout that season it was evident that the Mets, if they were going to stay anywhere near the level of contention that they'd been going back to 1984, needed to tie Darryl up long term.
The agent that he had at the time, he had the same agent that Eric Davis had, his childhood friend. And I think Eric had just signed a big contract. So Darryl felt that he deserved the contract. I think they probably could have got it, but I think the way he went about it, publicly about it, probably was the wrong way to do it. The spring training, the year that him and Keith got into altercation, a lot of times he would be talking to the writers instead of being out on the field with us.
I just wish it was a better situation. I wish they hadn't really tempted me and put me in a situation that says, well, show us that you're going to have a good year in 1990. They gambled on the fact that I needed to have a good year. And as I was having that good year, players were always coming back to the dugout, and players were looking up in the box and saying, you better sign him now.
There was this divide growing between Darryl and the front office. There seemed to be this gap between what Darryl wanted and what Frank Cashin, the general manager, was willing to pay. And every so often, Darryl would go off and have a big game, and I created this little mantra that I used on the air afterwards, very simply, pay the man.
He signified the rebirth of the Mets and kind of signified the end of that great period, you know, the golden period for the organization. I know people talk about just one World Series, but those 80s teams, we were like Barnum and Bailey's circus. Every place we went, if they had 10,000 people, we brought in 30. It was just one of those teams that was special and people wanted to go watch. And a big part of that, of course, was Darryl.
I will keep that always in my heart. You know, my 8 seasons there and the kind of success I had there. Nobody could take that away from me. I don't know what it was. You know, I don't know what it was. You know, what came behind it. You know, with the front office and ownership. But they tried to replace me for a very long time. That was it. It was a broken relationship. It was over. It's a true blessing to play in New York. The spotlight is good. If you're afraid to play under pressure, don't play in New York. I really mean that, because New York fans are incredible. Go back and look at my home runs at Shea and look at the crowd. That'll tell you what kind of, you know, fan base you playing under. I thrive playing in, you know, that type of atmosphere. And I miss that, you know, when I didn't play in front of it anymore. It was just something missing.
I think it did hurt him a little bit by going to LA, because at the time, he wasn't at a good place mentally when he made the decision. I think it was just more of getting back at the Mets and not really thinking it through and what was best for him.
Home is not for everybody. I was kind of hesitant because I know the relationship. I know LA. I know the people that he knows, the people that I know. I know the Leechers. I know the people that were there for good, and I know that there was more people that was there for bad. So I really had conflicting thoughts about him coming to LA.
It was a feeling more of like we were playing out in Compton. We didn't have the Moose, we had the Dodgers on us, you know, and we were playing in front of our home people.
We did very well in the games that we played. It was just unfortunate that we was there in a time where our health didn't allow us to really give the city and that organization what we really had inside. It was more distractions outside of the field, but we couldn't really find that peace on the field because we wasn't there long enough.
Fly ball deep to left center field. Back is Coleman, and this ball is out of here.
We got to a place when we were younger, and we didn't have the injuries, and things didn't happen in my life, of course. And that's just one of those things where it's late. It's late in the game. It's not the early part of who we were and everything. But if you'd have called us in our prime plan there, it would have been over. It would have been lights out.
If he had stayed in New York, would things have gone better? There's no way to know that. But part of the issue with Darryl is always going to be about promise unfulfilled, because he could have been one of the best players of all time.
The trouble is the length of his career and what happened, the personal things that happened that took the spark out of it, took the strength out of it. But for those years, when he was playing that way in the mid-'80s, there wasn't anybody like him.
Darryl's always had a big heart. He's always a good guy that had addiction problems. We've come a long way in understanding the nature of addiction and that it's a disease as opposed to a weakness. And I think that took some time in our world and our generation to sort of sort through things to where we have a different perspective on both Darryl and Doc now.
At the time, he was in Minnesota playing independently, and Mr. Steinbrenner came up to me and goes, how did you feel if we signed Darryl? I said, sign him. I talked to a lot about Darryl, how he's doing. I kept in contact with Darryl. I knew he was doing good from a mental standpoint and from his addiction. And I told George it'd be great. I think both of us playing together would be good to help each other. And so George said, we're going to sign him. And that was one of the best things I thought that could happen.
Darryl sends this one high and deep. And gone, the greatest home run hitter Shea Stadium has ever known. It's his 127th career home run here in Flushing.
They took it personal. You know, they didn't like the fact that myself and Doc were put on the Yankee uniform because they can't stand the Yankees. The Yankee fans say, yeah, well, he's a great Yankee. They was like, he's a Met, he's not a Yankee. So they take that personal.
There's just a hate for the Yankees with the fans, and they hated seeing two of the guys that they love, Darryl and Doc, for all their faults, go over and become big success with the Yankees. But I think in some ways it rubbed the organization the wrong way even harder, because Frank Cashin especially felt like the problems Doc and Darryl had were a major factor in them not winning more championships. It kind of made them relive some of that pain again. Why didn't we win more championships with these guys?
He had it as tough as anyone's ever had it before this social media age. To be 6'6" tall, to have the last name Strawberry, to be a handsome guy, all of that brings a lot of attention. And you have to be really special to be able to take all of that in, funnel it through your brain, and at some point be unaffected.
The problems that Straw ran into and that Doc ran into that became public hurt their cause. I mean, it hurt their careers. It ended their careers that should have been Hall of Fame careers and weren't. And so that had an impact on how they were viewed by the public and by the organization.
Straw and Gooden would have been Hall of Famers had they been able to play out their career without injuries and or off-field stuff. It's a medical issue. It's a health issue. And it's very difficult to, when you're addicted to something, to get off it.
He had the talent to have been a Hall of Fame player. But the irony of it is that the demons which prevented that from happening led to him ultimately turning a corner in his life that made him a better person in later adulthood than he'd ever been as a player.
The things that he went through in his life and to where he is now, it's pretty special. You know, I watch him all the time, stay in touch. It's a huge jump, you know, to see him where he is today.
That speaks to his drive, his determination, and his willingness to do what it was to get himself back on the right track. You know, we all go off track sometimes, and the experience, I think, is something that we have to learn from. And Darryl seems to have, you know, learned from his experiences both on and off the field, and is trying to make the best of his life now. You hate to see bad things happen to good people, but now it's just about trying to help as many people as you possibly can away from the game.
I think it took a while for all of that to kind of find its place in looking at their lives and the baseball history part of it, to try and separate those things and say, all right, how do we recognize Doc and Straw for what they were as players on the Mets? Not leave aside, not forget, but just say the personal stuff that happened that wasn't so good, that affected them. We'll put that over here for the moment and think about this.
I think they looked at our trials and tribulations more than what counted. You know, trials and tribulations is part of life. Hopefully they understand, you know, what's important when you have, you know, players that have an impact on your organization and your city.
He personally resurrected an organization that was in the doldrums for years. When you 18 years old and you're getting talked with the savior, being the Mets all-time home run leader, knowing what he brought to the table, the All-Star games, the World Series, and all those different kind of things. I don't think any number one pick could have fit that bill better than Darryl Strawberry.
When you talk about Darryl and Doc, the conversation usually centers around what they could have been. Like, they could have been both Hall of Famers. They could have been the greatest ever. Well, they were still great. And you know what? Maybe it's time we talked about what they did do and what they did accomplish.
It's not about the team. It's not about the player. At some point, it's about the fans. And the fans, at some point, deserve to have a chance to salute one of the best players who've ever played.
The Mets announcing that the club will retire Dwight Gooden's number 16 and Darryl Strawberry's number 18 in separate pregame ceremonies next season.
That's going to be pretty cool. You know, it's going to be about, not about me, it's going to be about all the people that helped me. Because if it's not for people, you don't get to where you get. My mother raised me right. I just want her to be proud of me. When she passed away, you know, I was still living a wild lifestyle. And, you know, I'm not today, and she would want me to go back and thank all those other people.
I know Darryl deep inside, he's a caring guy. He cares about his fans. I think he's very happy and very proud of what he's done and what he's accomplished. He can have closure on that. I know I'm excited for him because I know how hard he worked for it and how much this means to him. So I'm probably just as happy for him as I am for myself.
For a long time, 16 and 18 were going to be the next numbers to be retired, but because of issues that Gooden and Strawberry both had off the field, it took a while for that to happen. There was no doubt at all that Darryl was worthy of having his number retired. The only question was when.
I like the fact that if you got 16, Doc, and then you got 17, and then you got 18, Darryl. So we're going to be up there like they're going to be bookends. I'm going to be the part of the sandwich in the middle, the lunch meat.
That immortality, well-deserved, is something that you don't expect as a ball player. 100 years from now, someone's going to come to a game with their son or daughter, and son or daughter's going to ask, why is 18 up there? Well, let me tell you, there was this player, Darryl Strawberry.
Oh, baby, that one is way out of here.
It may have hit the top of the stadium. I think it did.
High drive into deep right field. Gone! The Mets have won the World Series.
The Mets have always been Darryl Strawberry. And even though he went to the Dodgers and he played for the Giants and he finished his career in New York with the Yankees, those Met years is really what really made him become what he became. That tough exterior that men have in certain situations, it kind of dilutes it and breaks you down and stuff. And I wouldn't be surprised if he sheds a tear.
I want to celebrate my wife. I want to celebrate my kids, my grandkids. Those are the most important things. And I want to celebrate the fans, you know, because they backed me through those 8 years. You know, they were there. They brought joy to me, and I was able to bring joy to them. And I don't ever want to think about, you know, the fact that because my number is hanging up there, I did that. You know, I did this. It's all the people that were surrounding me and the fans that helped me get there.